Morgan.
And I'm Jake, and you're listening to Neverland Navigation Radio, your personal guide to everything Walt Disney World and beyond. Morgan, we are finishing some unfinished business today.
Yep, we sure are.
What did we do last time?
Last time we did the 5 worst things at Epcot.
And it was controversial. We deep dove into some topics.
Yeah.
We hit some hard truths. But this time we're going to lighten the mood.
Yes.
Because today we're going to be talking about, in our opinion, what the 5 best things in Epcot are.
Absolutely.
Whew, this is a big one.
Yeah.
I love Epcot. Epcot's got my heart.
Yeah, I love Epcot
Epcot's really
too.
emotional to me.
Right?
A lot of childhood memories. Mm-hmm. And it's just so different now that it just, I don't know. I've really gone on an emotional journey with the park. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because like they took something that had been a staple of my childhood and they're really like doing it over. You know what I mean? So now I feel like I'm like on the ride. I'm rooting for it so hard.
Me too.
I've got so much heart. It's like I'm watching the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And my favorite team is like, you know, about to either win or colossally fail, you know?
Right.
I'm right on the edge with Epcot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that, in my opinion, it still has the same vibe. Do you think it still has basically the same underlying vibe?
I actually think it has more of the vibe of opening day Epcot now.
Yeah.
I think it's always been kind of in the family, but I feel like things got wacky in the 2000s, 90s, like really the 2000s.
Yeah.
When they put the big sorcerer
Millennium,
wand
yeah.
on Epcot and they started really changing around some of the staple rides, like when Horizons went away and when they kind of changed direction and started adding some more IP type stuff. I feel like the DNA of Epcot kind of changed a little bit. And I actually feel like even though there's more IP and stuff coming back into the park, I feel like we're actually stylistically and theme and messaging wise, we're kind of circling back around to the 80s interpretation of Epcot.
Right. I think something that helps is that Spaceship Earth being the icon for Epcot is always the first thing you see.
Yeah.
It's never not going to be the icon.
And now that they've added the fountain right in front of it, it looks just like it did on opening day.
Right,
You know,
right.
the castle right now looks very different than the classic castle that we all know and
then
love.
don't even get me started on Hollywood Studios.
Right, they can't even pick an icon, you know? They're all over the map on it.
Right.
But with Epcot, there's real consistency in the iconography that has become Spaceship Earth. Like, that geodesic sphere is like burned into our brains, and you could show almost anyone and they would know what they're looking at, even if they're not from Florida.
Right, and if they're Disney fans, even that pattern.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And I feel like World Showcase, although there have been now added rides and stuff like that, still has that same vibe that it did for my whole life.
It almost feels, World Showcase almost feels like an educational park.
Right.
You know?
Which is what it kind of was.
Yeah, it almost feels like it's like a museum type of feeling in there.
Right.
And it's because it is, you know, completely unchanged for like since the 80s. I mean, it's really impressive how it's managed to sustain itself in such a timeless way. Now they've added things, they've changed some of the rides, you know, but the feeling really, it's only improved.
Yes, I agree.
While Future Worlds, which is now a bunch of different worlds, has kind of wavered, gone up and down in terms of what's there.
Made some big changes. But at the center, there's still Spaceship Earth.
But there's consistency in Spaceship Earth, and there's consistency in the World Showcase.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
now that we've spoken for a full 5 minutes about how much we love Epcot, we should get into the nitty gritty of it and decide what our top 5 favorite things about it are. We're gonna have a little overlap, no?
I don't know.
Really?
I mean, maybe some, but not all.
I've never been more excited. I love when we match up on stuff, because then we can find new things that the other loves about some of our favorite stuff, and it makes us love it even more. Right. But I also love when our lists are a little different.
Yeah.
Because then we cover a broader scope of, you know, some of the things that the people out there might really hold dear to their Epcot hearts.
It's true.
You know?
Did you want to start?
Sure. I would love to start. Number 5 on my list of the 5 best parts about Epcot is the World Showcase, but really specifically World Showcase dining.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we talk all the time about the state of food in Walt Disney World, whether it's terrible quick services in the Magic Kingdom, whether we're talking about sit-down restaurants that have degraded in quality or offered new menus and actually been back on the upswing.
Yeah.
World Showcase has always been the beacon for variety and for multiple high-quality options. Epcot, while you're in Hollywood Studios wondering, where can I scrounge around for a decent meal in this park?
Yeah.
You're in Epcot wondering, how do I narrow down where I could possibly eat? There's so many good, well-reviewed options for dining, and you know what? That's what I expect from my world-class theme park. So Epcot holds it down for me on the food.
Right, and there's so many options. I mean, so many different cuisines, obviously, because of World Showcase. So, and
so
that's
many
what you said.
Flavors and seasonings and flavor palettes and so many different styles of food. It really is such a wonderful one-stop shop to figure out, you know, if you're someone who's trying to figure out what kind of food you love and you really want to, you know, add to your rotation of things that you eat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, is Epcot not like the best place for you to be?
Yeah.
You can try a little bit of everything. And there are some that are way better than others.
Sure.
They've got some, you know, questionable things out at the World Showcase, especially some of these festival booths that are putting out garbage for $7 on a tiny plate.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They're just absolutely slopping on whatever and charging you $8 to eat on a trash can.
Yeah.
But, like, that does happen. But for every bad World Showcase booth, somewhere there's either a good service counter or there's, you know, a good hidden gem sit-down restaurant. Which you can actually, on our YouTube channel, we recently reviewed one of those, Spice Road Table in Morocco. Never even considered eating there. And then we ate there. Delicious.
It was unbelievable.
Very flavorful, like a total hidden gem in Epcot.
Yes.
Watch our review of that, because it really is a good example of how around every corner, and sometimes in places you've never even laid eyes on in World Showcase, there's really good food for you to dig up and find.
Right. Yeah, it is controversial to say we don't love the festival food as much, but I mean, I just think that there's so many great sit down and quick serve options in Epcot that paying $7 for a plate that's got like maybe 2 or 3 bites of something on it is a little insane.
One thing about me, I can only speak to my experience.
Yes.
You know, and I'm going to keep it real. That festival food, the consistency is not there.
Right.
I've had good things. I've had bad things.
Right.
I'm not putting down $9 for 5 bites of a bad thing.
Right.
2 bites of a bad thing. We're being a little generous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I am not someone, I don't care how much money you have. You should not be
wasting money.
Yeah. So, like, in my opinion, if there are some mainstays that I know are going to hit hard every time,
and there are some good
Bao Bun
ones
in China. There's some festival food that rotates its way through festival to festival, and it's there for a reason.
It's still on the menu because it's so good.
Unless you're Italy, who every year puts out like inedible bad food for some reason. Don't know what their deal is, but there are some booths that never seem to get it together. But there are some where they are trying to cycle through some new things to try to find new dishes that actually really work, and some of them have just not found it, but there are some that come back around and I know, okay, well, that's reliable.
Yes.
But until they kind of even out the quality,
right,
I'm not going to say you can wander into any festival booth and find something good, because it would not be true.
Right. You know? Yep. Yeah, that was a good one.
World Showcase dining.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have something kind of similar, but we'll get there.
Okay.
So my number 5, and this is maybe a weird thing to call a favorite thing about Epcot, but I love how convenient Epcot is with all of their transportation options. You can take the monorail from Magic Kingdom or Ticket and Transportation Center or any of the monorail resorts. You could take the Skyliner from any of the Skyliner resorts or from Hollywood Studios. And you can take the boat from any of the resorts that have the boat, or to get to like Boardwalk, or to get to Hollywood Studios. I just think that Epcot is like in the center of everything, kind of.
It is the only park with 2 direct park-to-park transportation options.
Yeah.
You can get right to Hollywood Studios on the boat or the Skyliner.
Yeah.
And you can get right to Magic Kingdom on the monorail.
Right.
You can't do that at any of the other ones. You can only get to one other park.
Right.
Or if you're Animal Kingdom, you sit in by yourself in the corner saying, I don't have any friends. I'm a loner. I'm over here in the wilderness.
Yeah, so I think that is huge for me. It makes it so much more convenient.
And as local, regular type people, for us, it's, it's its own special extra amenity that it's so convenient. But for anyone, the fact that the transportation is so convenient, it just makes Epcot a pleasure to visit. Especially after a Magic Kingdom experience where you're like, you're wandering through the desert. You're getting onto the monorail. It's taking you all over property. Like, you have to go through that's before, by the way, you get checked for security and scan your ticket. And, like, the process of getting
out of Magic Kingdom.
You got to go through customs. You got to get a real ID driver's license. You got to show your proof of income. None of that is true.
None of that is true.
But it feels like the DMV.
It does. You have to go through a lot. Yeah.
It feels like you're in a government-funded, office.
Yeah, right.
What?
And getting out of Magic Kingdom is such a hassle.
Even worse, because now there's a million of you doing it at the exact same time, and it's a race for some people.
And it's a ton of people smashed in.
Bottlenecked.
Yep.
Yeah, it's stressful. So I really appreciate this point about Epcot being so transient and convenient. I love it.
Okay, what's your next one?
My next one, my number 4, this is quite the transition from what I was just talking so bad about festivals.
Okay.
But stay with me. My number 4 is the Festival of the Arts.
So my number 4 is just festivals.
Oh my gosh.
So it is funny because we don't really appreciate the food at festivals, but that's not all there is to it.
Hey, the food is the least important thing to me about the festival.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We usually find something we want to try, a food thing we want to try, but
the reliables or the new ones that you're like, okay, if I'm going to waste $7 on one thing, this year it will be this.
Yes.
Yes. And then you try it, and if you hate it, we did that. We got this cookie thing from one of them that we hated, and we'll never do it again.
Right.
But that happens. But the Festival of the Arts, I love this one. What's your favorite festival?
That's my favorite.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Even more than the Festival of the Holidays. You are a Christmas fanatic.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point.
They're close for you.
Yeah, but you
don't have to pick.
The Festival of the Holidays is so condensed because Food and Wine doesn't end until
November.
Yeah, so and then
November to January is nothing.
I feel like Festival of the Arts has more stuff than the Festival of the Holidays does.
It does.
Festival of the Holidays feels like, we just wanted to have these booths up to sell food.
But you know what they get to do? They get to take the Christmas decorating that every park does, and they get to say, oh, this is part of Festival of the Holidays. Girl, you were going to do that either way.
You were going to do that anyway.
Of course you're going to decorate for Christmas.
All of the parks are decorated.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's not a festival.
Yeah.
Hollywood Studios is not having the Festival of the Holidays just because they put up their Christmas Get over yourself, Epcot. But, they do have some food booths of, traditional winter dining.
Right.
And they also have, the storytellers of how each country celebrates their version of, some Christmas-adjacent kind of holiday.
Right.
And then, they also have
see that as much anymore.
They've got a gospel show that happens back of World Showcase or at the front of World Showcase. They've got some stuff going on, but it's not. I feel like the other festivals, it's they've got everything. They've got a bunch of different things going.
Well, and they've got the Candlelight Processional, but that costs money.
That's a hard ticket. That's paid.
Yeah, and that's it, right?
Yeah, and okay, you can't say your paid event is part of your festival. You know what I mean? You're having a party. Yeah. At that point, basically. Right. So yeah.
And we did the Candlelight Processional that one year, and I wasn't as in love with it as I thought I would be. This is probably a controversial thing, but yeah, it felt like church. Yeah. It felt a little churchy. I 100% agree with you. Yeah. And listen, nothing against those people that want a church-like experience for Christmas. Just for me, I'm not at the theme park for the church experience. I'm at the theme park for the fun version of Christmas. And the version that we went to was, Neil Patrick Harris was the person leading it.
And he was the best part about it.
And he was the best part about it, but also because he's who he is, I thought it would be funny, and it kind of wasn't.
He couldn't be.
It was very serious.
What's so funny about... the story. It's, the story
it's a very serious Christmas
I felt like I should have been wearing a suit. It's got that kind of vibe where you're like, I need to sit up straight to watch this, know? It's a little stuffy.
It is a little stuffy.
And, for Disney World...
I like fun Christmas.
I don't know if that's what I'm looking for.
For me, it wasn't for me.
And also, like, if you're someone who doesn't particularly go in on the religious end of Christmas, which is a lot of guests. So I'm saying a lot of guests at Walt Disney World do want the religious stuff. But if you are one of the guests who does not want the religious stuff, and there's certainly a demographic of them there too, then I feel like this one really cuts out a huge portion of the audience.
Or even if you are somebody that is religious, but you don't necessarily want that when you're in Disney, you know what I mean?
Right. Say nothing of the people that are not Christian.
Right.
You're cutting them away immediately, and then you're also cutting the Christians in half.
It's not what I expected, but I guess I didn't, to be surprised and in like what I thought would be a fun way, I didn't do much research on what it was about.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, Neil Patrick Harris, gotta go.
Oh, it's church. Right. Well, once you got there and you saw what was happening, where you're like, oh, this is much more serious than I thought.
Yeah, this isn't really fun.
No.
It's not fun.
The singing is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
The music can be really beautiful.
But see, that's where the difference is. Beautiful. Something can be beautiful and wonderful, but not fun. And what I think of when I think of Disney.
I'm not going to go watch somebody play the, what's the big one? Stand it up.
Oh, you want me to
cello.
name a musical instrument?
Cello. I'm not going to go watch the cello.
And if I was going to do something like that, like we go to the Nutcracker frequently at Christmas, and that's like more serious than like a Mickey holiday show.
Art. Yeah.
Right. And I'm happy to do that and get dressed up and do that, and that's something we love to do, but that's not what I'm looking for when I go to Disney.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, that totally makes sense, because at a theme park, you want theme park entertainment.
That's what I was looking for.
You want good theme park entertainment.
Yes.
You want the hocus pocus villain spooktacular moment. You don't, you want that level of, imagine if they had something like that was a Christmas celebration instead. For me, that would just be so fun.
Exactly.
Like if they did all the Christmas stuff all mashed together in a story.
That would be wonderful. Like a story that they specifically came out for to like teach you about all of the different Christmases around the world, and on the stage show. That would be wonderful.
No, I was just going to say, now I think they kind of do something like that for the Very Merry Christmas. Or do they not have a show?
I think that I haven't been yet, but I do think they have a show. And if they don't, then they definitely 100% used to, because I did go to this party when I was a child, but it was a completely different experience then. Right. It was like a dinner show.
Oh, wow.
Like I barely remember it. Okay. I was very young, so I'll have to look it up. Yeah. But it was like a dinner show that they had, and it was amazing.
That sounds
And I'm sure that they can't do it anymore because of the capacity, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about Epcot. You know what I mean? And with Epcot, you could do like a show where it was about the different world, like the different countries.
Yeah. See, that's what I was going to say.
But in a fun way.
They would have to like take it and make it Epcot, but it can be Epcot and fun. Mm-hmm. I feel like sometimes when they're designing shows or entertainment for Epcot, they get a little like, I'm solving the world's problems.
Yes.
We are one community and we are standing together. And I'm like, where's Mickey? You know what I mean? I'm like, girl, where am I?
Right.
And even I'm in Walt Disney World.
Right. Even if you're a person that doesn't feel like the Fab Five or necessarily should be in Epcot, which they are now.
Speak your truth. That's fine.
Yeah, but still, there's a difference between like a fun vibe for a family and like a serious.
Oh yeah,
but anyway,
Figment in there. I don't care.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I don't care what the story is.
I just would look great in a Santa
I just want to dance to the music. I just want to sing along. Right. I just want to put my hands up. I just want to cry when it gets sad. Listen, the Candlelight Processional. No tears, no laughter, no dancing. Just kind of. Where's the offering plate? That was the vibe, for sure.
So about Festival of the Arts, though.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about what I love, right?
Yeah.
Festival of the Arts, why I like this one so much is because it's got such a variety of artistic expressions.
Yes.
So they have people who will go right by where Fountain of Nations used to be. So we're talking before they decided they were going to rip out the entire front of the park.
Right.
They would have these demonstrations of these painters who would go up, and in 10 minutes, they will have painted a painting that they will then sell at the festival.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much
That's
there.
Incredible. There's also like you can do some art yourself.
Yeah.
You can
chalkboard or chalk.
They have this chalk murals that you can participate in. They've got this paint by numbers mural.
They also have professionals doing chalk stuff on the ground that is like mind-blowing.
On the walkway from formerly Future World, now World Celebration to World Showcase, they've got those what you're talking about, those like professionally created chalk things, and then some that are created by cast members.
Yeah.
Guests.
Right.
Really cool. And then also they've got, in recent years, they've got this thing where you can pick from a handful of designs and a handful of colors, and you can design your own t-shirt.
Yeah.
And then you can pick it up later. I think that's fun.
I mean, and even just like the
teaching people about like color pairings and like that kind of thing.
Yeah, so there you throw in the edutainment and
right. Yeah. There's a little something there that
there's places where you can learn how to draw certain things.
And there's like
Japan,
paint, you can do spin painting.
Yeah.
Like you can do, there's a bunch of hands-on stuff that shows you what it is like to actually do art, because everyone can be an artist. I'm not joking. Morgan's looking at me and laughing.
I'm laughing because it sounds like the everybody can cook thing.
Oh, everybody can cook.
Anyone can cook.
But literally, there's artistic expression in everyone.
Absolutely.
And it's just finding your medium that is the challenge or the barrier that some people see art and they go, I'm not an artist.
I can't draw.
How do you know? You've never even tried half of it.
But I thought that for most of my life, if I can't draw, I'm not an artist.
Right.
Yeah.
But you are one of the most artistic people I know.
It's funny, the first time you told me that was like a bunch of years ago when we were first being friends, and I was like, I was like, I don't really consider myself maybe I said creative person.
Maybe, yeah.
But you're like, everything you do is
you don't you don't even realize it though, like from the way
because I think I can't draw. I couldn't
That's just one tiny little sliver of it, though.
It's
from
funny.
the way you decorate your house to the way you design T-shirts to the way that you even dress yourself. Everyone has those parts of them that are their own creative expression.
Yes.
And what I love so much about the Festival of the Arts is that it gives people that like gateway, that easy hand-in-hand little safe space where they can just have the fun moment of, oh yeah, I'll try it. And maybe that's how they discover that's how they love to express themselves. I mean, that is Disney magic right in a nutshell. And that coming alive is like such a big part of why I love Festival of the Arts, in addition to the fact that they have like actual Broadway performers that will come and like do these showcases of multiple songs from kind of each of the Disney on Broadway shows. They kind of go through their show catalog throughout the different performer sets, and they perform a Broadway caliber performance for you, which I don't think there's a medium of art that is less accessible to the average person than musical theater, than Broadway quality shows. The tickets are extremely expensive. The education, if you're looking to go into that field, is extremely expensive.
Right.
All of that is very well, guarded.
Yes.
This is like no extra ticket.
Right.
You
just show up.
With the price of your park admission, you get to watch Broadway performers do their craft.
Yes.
And, and all that entails.
Yeah.
And there are some magical moments. Ashley Brown, the original Mary Poppins from Mary Poppins on Broadway, was one of them. And when I went to go see her years ago, she did Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Uh-huh.
And kids who had done Mary Poppins in schools from all around all got up and did the sign language bit of it with her, and they knew it all, and she gave them all a round of applause, and they all gave her a round of applause, and in that moment it was like a community of theater people, and that was so magical.
That's amazing.
Though like Food and Wine is its own thing. I love Flower and Garden for its own reasons. But there's nothing that touches my heart with some real Disney magic the way that Festival of the Arts does.
Right.
Epcot is the perfect medium to explore how the imagination, creativity, and the expression of those things in art is so accessible to everyone. Epcot takes that idea and they run with it so well.
Yeah.
I love Festival of the Arts.
Yeah. I mean, I even love like the aesthetic of just like the signage and
Paint
stuff.
splashes,
Paint
like
splashes.
color.
I love that.
Rainbows. Like they like the imagination style
Yes.
is so beautiful for talking about artistic expression.
Right. Yeah.
They go hand in hand so perfectly.
And their scavenger hunt for that one, because they have a scavenger hunt for all the different festivals, is like trying to find Figment paintings all over the World Showcase, which is just super fun.
To say nothing about the fact that all around the World Showcase, there's actual artists who are selling their paintings.
Yeah.
And some of them are gorgeous, and some of them are there
Yeah.
and will sign your painting for you. Or
Right.
sign, give you an autograph or speak to you about their work or get...
Yes. It's amazing.
That you don't get that type of thing.
Right.
For no money.
Right.
For no extra ticket. This is a Disney event that is so pure to just Epcot doing its thing,
Right.
It just is the most well executed for what it's trying to represent for me.
Yeah. I love that one. And so my number 4 was actually festivals, but / concerts too, which that is one thing that I like about Food and Wine, but it's not just Food and Wine. They actually do it for the Flower and Garden Festival too. And that's another thing that, like you said, it's a free, you just show up. I mean, as long as you're either a pass holder or you've got a park ticket to Epcot. And I'm not saying it's like the big bright stars of today that are playing these concerts.
Billie Eilish ain't coming.
Right.
Beyonce's not going to be there.
No Beyonce. But there are some really, really fun concerts that, like, there's a lot of acts from the 80s. There's some from the 90s.
Yeah.
And it's just fun.
And sometimes the people that are, they'll have some of the Disney adjacent kind of talent come, like people who were in Disney movies or that kind of thing to come and sing. I remember this was years ago now, but they had Nick Jonas and Demi Lovato were there because they were both in the Camp Rock movie.
Yeah.
And now, like, years later, I look back and I'm like, those are now, like,
Superstars,
A-list, human beings, so, like, B-list at least.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like that,
yeah.
that's fun.
Right.
I don't think they do that as much now, though. I think now it more is kind of the bands that were, maybe had a bit of a bigger life in the 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
Which
but that
is its
still,
own kind of fun.
Yeah. It's still pretty amazing,
Yeah,
what I mean?
you can
We've
have
seen
some
a
real
bunch
talent
of concerts for people that we know, that you would know, that are people that have been on the radio who have a bunch of hits.
Right.
They're just not today's, all-star. So, I mean, I think that's great.
I think that's amazing.
What a perk. I mean, it's free.
And people like us who appreciate a lot of the more, like, retro throwback kind of music.
Yeah, right. I love 80s and 90s music.
Me too. It really appeals to,
Yeah.
the people with that kind of taste of music a lot.
Yeah.
Although there is good variety at times as well. So.
There's definitely good variety.
Yeah.
They've got a little bit. I mean, they do have some not like brand new, but newer than 80s or 90s. They occasionally will have like a country artist or I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it's a great free addition.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
really, that's
and they
good
just
value.
do 30-minute concerts.
Yeah.
And they do 3 a night.
But at a theme park, I think that's perfect. I wouldn't want it to be a minute longer.
Right.
Or a minute shorter.
Right.
I just think they really nailed the formula. And there's a lot of showtimes sometimes.
Yeah,
They'll
there
have
are
like
3.
3 or,
Yeah.
And for a Festival of the Arts, the Broadway one, that one, they'll have multiple showtimes because they'll have 2 different sets of performers.
Oh, okay.
So they'll be able to double their showtimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do 3 of the concerts, and I think it's perfect. And I think the 30-minute set is perfect because it gives them the opportunity to do like their like top 3 hits plus a couple of
Fan favorites.
Yeah, and then maybe one or two that aren't. Plus, speaking to the...
Or a cover. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true.
A lot of them will throw in a cover.
We saw Sugar Ray. Sugar Ray did like a Blink 182 song.
Right.
Once. Like, just threw in this
You're
weird
at
cover.
Epcot. Have some fun. I'm looking at you, Candlelight Processional. Have some fun. Yeah.
Yeah, so fun. So anyway, that's my number 4 because so they kind of like lumped in there because. And I love the scavenger hunts in all of the festivals.
Yeah.
I know that's such a silly thing. You kind of have to be a pass holder to do that because it takes a lot of your time.
Yeah. Or
But-
like a super regular who, if you're a super regular and you're not a pass holder, you're doing it wrong. You have to go like twice for it to justify the price of your pass.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
But anyway.
But the scavenger hunts, there's something to find in each country.
I just like,
And then you get a prize.
I'm gonna be honest. I am not the person who would normally ever do the scavenger hunt, but I do love that it's there because I love, first of all, the energy it brings.
Right.
Because there's people exploring more of the World Showcase than they normally would.
That's it.
And then, second of all, I love when kids find them.
Yeah.
And they're like, there it is. And they're so happy about it. Like, I'm glad it's there just for those little moments of, like, unbridled excitement.
Yeah. I think it helps a lot with, like, if you have little kids that you want to explore World Showcase, but there's not as much for them back there.
Right. So this really helps them feel involved.
Right.
They're not being left out because you want a mimosa or whatever,
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Are you on... Well, what's your 4th one?
My 4th one is Festival of the Arts.
Oh, okay.
Am I on to 3rd?
Yeah.
This one's going to blow your mind.
Okay.
My 3rd favorite thing about Epcot is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
Okay.
Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is like a
This
brand...
is my number 2, by the way.
Oh, wow. It's a brand... I can't believe that's not your number 1. It's a brand spanking new attraction. This is where Universe of Energy used to be, featuring Ellen's Energy Adventure, starring Ellen DeGeneres and
Bill Nye the Science Guy. And before that, it was not starring them and
just the Universe of Energy.
Yeah.
So this is a roller coaster. It is an omni coaster, is what Disney calls it.
I was gonna say, I don't think I would call it a roller coaster.
So it is a train of cars, 2 by 2, and you go through this journey into space where you come face to face with a planetary being called a celestial who is threatening the existence of humans. So you have to travel back in time to stop him.
Yeah.
And that's all the spoilers that I'll give. But
except for the music, right? You don't have to list it, but one of the big pulls about this is that there's rock music.
I would say this is the biggest pull for me, is that it is a randomized set of songs, of 6 songs, and you get a different song for, your particular ride on the attraction.
Right.
And the ride system is an omni coaster, what Disney calls, which is like this train that feels like a roller coaster. You're on a roller coaster similar kind of track, but it kind of is able to rotate your car to view...
In a purposeful way.
In a purposeful way, not in a free-form way.
Yeah, you're not spinning.
Right, to be shown the part of the attraction that it wants you to see.
Yeah.
So it's taking that concept from Omni-Mover style attractions like the Haunted Mansion, and it is applying it to a roller coaster track. So that combination with the ride system and the design of this specific ride make this... Oh boy, it's right up there for my favorite coasters in the world.
Oh my gosh, it's definitely my favorite ride in the whole world.
It is like right
my
up there.
number 1 and number 2, it was really hard for me to decide. So, I mean, it kind of was like a tie for me with this being one of those 2 things. And I have like unbridled joy on this ride.
One day
I have the biggest smile, like plaster on my face, and like the whole time.
You do. Watching Morgan get ready to go on this ride is truly like watching a child in a candy store. Like, she's so excited.
Yeah.
Which is, like, amazing. Because that's the energy I want to have with people at Walt Disney World. Like, those are some of my favorite moments with anyone that I spend my time with, is seeing them at their happiest.
Yeah.
And that does this for Morgan.
Yeah. This is...
her happy
my
place.
favorite ride. I love the way it feels too. It's not something you can explain. You just have to do it.
So even for that reason alone, this would be like amazing for me, but I also happen to love the ride, so that really helps, you know.
Yeah. It's funny. It
has a really good mix of stuff that I appreciate from a ride, which is a great soundtrack, a good story, and a lot of an interesting use of the ride system.
Yeah.
That this one absolutely accomplishes that. The only thing I wish it had more of, originally it was planned to have animatronics. So
Really?
I wish that this ride did have animatronics.
Wow. I can't even imagine where that would be.
I don't really know the specifics about
Maybe
it.
at the end.
I did hear, and this is not validated information, so this may be wrong. I did hear that originally they planned to use the dinosaurs from Ellen's Energy Adventure for when you go back in time. That you were supposed to actually go back in time, and they were going to reuse some of those animatronics to show that you're going back in time. Now, whether or not that would have worked is impossible to say because we never saw it. But in general, I wish one of my favorite things about Disney rides is animatronics, and they're so integral to Disney's history of their landmark attractions that I personally would have loved to see at least one animatronic in the ride somewhere, because that's just what I personally prefer in a ride, is to see animatronics. Now, that doesn't mean that this ride is bad at all without animatronics. It's just what I like to see.
I completely agree. I love animatronics. I'm trying to think, though, if like a fast-moving roller coaster type experience, how that would work.
Do you want to know what would be my absolute ideal for this ride?
Yes.
Is if the Celestial at the very end scene were a very impressive giant animatronic.
Oh, okay.
Now, that seems impossible. So,
well, no, it sounds like a kind of Yeti situation.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I would want it to be done in a similar way to Expedition Everest, and I feel like this would have been a really good opportunity for them to show that they can do it. Because Yeti is a failure for them.
Right.
It's embarrassing, I think, a little bit for them.
Right.
So this one, I think this could have been a good way for them to avenge themselves and show that they are not only creating this amazing dark ride experience, but they have the most impressive animatronic that's ever been built in this ride. Imagine what that would have done for this attraction.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I have a hard time visualizing it. And do you think, is the Yeti the only animatronic in one of these roller coaster type rides?
Well, let's see.
So not Tower of Terror, not Rock and Roller Coaster.
Rock and Roller Coaster has none. I guess they're...
Not Thunder, unless you count a goat. Really.
I don't.
Space Mountain. I guess Mine Train does, but that's kind of not.
They have some.
Yeah.
But that's like a family type. I feel like that's such a different kind of roller coaster.
I mean, they definitely could have done it at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you don't want to give too much away.
There are points where it goes slow enough that, especially that room, that you would definitely get bang for your buck in the same way that... And I feel like Expedition Everest was so groundbreaking because of that Yeti. That really made it stand out. So, like...
Yes, that was
the most impressive thing any of us had seen from animatronics at that point. So, that, to me, that would have made this the perfect ride.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point.
But I don't when I'm riding it, though, I'm not holding that against it. I'm still really enjoying it.
What would make it a better ride for me is if they had more song options, or possibly we've talked about whether if letting you pick your song would be an option.
Yeah.
Because they picked 6 songs, and there are a few of them that we don't love the way that it flows with the ride.
Let's just do this. This is a spoiler alert. If you do not want to know what the songs are on the Guardians of the Galaxy attraction, skip ahead like 30 seconds. Okay.
So,
I ran
September.
So Far Away by...
you're going to start with... Okay.
Flock of Seagulls and Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Yes, those two are too... slow.
Those are some very down-tempo songs.
Down-tempo, and you're on like this fast-moving, like supposed to be very thrilling roller coaster.
And I think the idea was to help them kind of contribute to the feeling of weightlessness that happens on a lot of points in this ride. And that does work I would say that works a little bit for certain points of the ride.
Yeah.
But I would say overall, I have a much better time when I'm riding it with one of the upbeat
Yes.
We got it with Conga the other day, and it was a whole nother level.
It was a whole different ride.
And
so Conga, Disco Inferno, September, and then what's the other one?
I ran and
there's one more.
Oh, sorry, One Way or Another by
One
Blondie.
Way or Another. Those 4 are all pretty good.
One Way or Another. That one was cool because they all do different things for you.
Yeah.
One Way or Another makes you feel like you're in a chase. September makes you feel like you're in a dance
This has
party.
definitely been more than 30 seconds.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't spoil any of it for you. We're done talking about this now. No more, I say.
Yeah. Sorry. I just didn't want us to go on for 2 minutes.
No, I appreciate it. I agree. I'm sorry if I spoiled anything for anyone. I'm sure I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's fine. You guys are
You go
cool,
back
right?
and dub over and say 60 seconds.
I'm not doing that. You guys are chill, right? I'm not taking the time to do that. Sorry. I love you, but not that much. All right. Guardians of the Galaxy is my number 3. It's your what?
It's really tied for like number 1, but I guess I put it for number 2.
Okay. Why don't you... how are you done? And I've got 2
I'm not.
more.
We basically skipped my 3.
Oh, okay.
But we kind of, do you want me to say my 3?
Yeah.
You kind of already touched on it, kind of, because you said World Showcase Dining, where I just put food.
Yeah.
Because Epcot is the best park of the 4 parks in mine and maybe our opinion.
Yeah. I was just thinking, and I was like, there's nothing better.
The best place to dine in Walt Disney World. You could dine there multiple days and have multiple great meals.
I think it's the only park that's true for, where you could go 2 days, have breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
Have completely different meals, 6 completely different meals.
Yeah.
And you could have 6 really good ones.
Yeah. Actually, we haven't done very many breakfasts at Epcot, but maybe we should.
Yeah, and even if not, you're right next to
some great ones.
Some amazing ones.
Yeah. Trattoria Al Forno of breakfast is great, and it's right there.
You're right by Ale and Compass if you like a decent buffet type experience. You're on the monorail loop. You're right next to, a bunch of fun stuff. So you've got a lot of options.
Right.
That goes back to you saying Epcot is so convenient.
It's so convenient.
It's so convenient for dining too, because even if you're not going to take advantage of one of the many, many, many amazing dining options, you're right. The rest of Disney World's at your fingertips, pretty much.
Yes, right. You can hop on the Skyliner or the monorail and be somewhere else.
Yeah. Cool, and it's got the variety of dining is unparalleled.
Yes. So that was my number 3, and then I have Guardians for number 2. So what do you have left?
2 and 1.
Okay, go ahead and do 2.
Okay, my number 2 favorite thing about Epcot is the attraction Frozen Ever After.
Oh, okay.
Frozen Ever After is gotta be right up there with one of my favorite rides in Walt Disney World. I love Frozen a lot. Right. It's probably my favorite Disney movie.
Yeah, you're a super fan.
Which is crazy because I love so much Disney, and Frozen is such a new movie in the grand scheme of things, but I don't think there's ever been one I've enjoyed as much.
Yeah, and you are an old soul. You know what I mean? I say this a lot. You like a lot of classic stuff. This is a little surprising.
Yeah, but I think the reason I love it so much is honestly it has a lot to do with the fact that it does what a lot of the older Disney movies do really well, which is, and I guess when I'm saying older, I don't actually mean older, because I'm really talking about the Disney Renaissance. I'm talking about the 90s.
Yeah.
I'm talking about The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King. I'm talking about when they had back-to-back home runs all in a row. Hercules, they just nailed every single one. This, to me, it could be right in that lineup.
Yeah.
Because it did what those movies got so well. Every single song is in everyone's mind.
Right.
And is beautifully written, is amazingly conducted, is performed by extraordinary talent.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about the songs that are in every child's mouth all the time now. Let It Go, For the First Time in Forever. Do You Want to Build a Snowman? In Summer.
Yeah.
Everyone knows every one of those songs.
Sure.
It penetrated pop culture with that music in a way that Disney had not done in a hot minute, where everyone knew all of the songs. I mean, that is the key to a musical movie,
right.
is making the songs super memorable. And I love Idina Menzel, who is the star, or one of the stars of the film.
Right, Elsa.
She was Elphaba on Broadway, was her biggest credit. She was in Rent. And then she, got this Elsa role.
Well, on Wicked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I said and Rent, but not in Rent, right?
Right.
In Wicked, yeah. And then she got this Elsa role, and now she's like one of the most recognized voices in the world, I'm sure.
Oh, gosh, for sure.
So, I mean, that had always been a fan of hers, so I was super excited she was in a Disney project, and then it turned out to be what it was, and I was like, gosh, this is incredible.
Yeah, to go from Broadway to being this
It's got a lot of Broadway people. Jonathan Groff is in it as Kristoff, Josh Gad is in it as Olaf, and everyone is perfectly cast. Kristen Bell does a spectacular job as Anna, who's one of my favorite princesses, I would say, because her story is so much about how family and independence from, you know, the need to have a partner to help you along every step of the way. You know, her journey is important and interesting. And I think that Elsa's journey about self-realization and about harnessing the power that you don't even realize that you have, those things are also extremely important for an entire different kind of kid. So I feel like the story is really reaching out to a lot of different people and drawing them into something that we can all relate to. And the music and the story and the humor art is so high quality that it just delivers in this epic Disney way. You know, it really hits. And Morgan is not nearly as big of a Frozen fan as I am. And I completely understand that there are a lot of people who don't like Frozen. But I
don't dislike Frozen.
No, I know you don't.
Yeah, I was just a 90s kid. So all of those 90s movies are more like...
But what I have to say to those people, really, is it that you don't like Frozen, or is it that you don't like how oversaturated it became in the media? Because there was a time where you could not go anywhere without hearing Let It Go. And you could... Like, Frozen was the annoying thing that all the kids loved at the time.
Right.
So, I get it. For those parents out there who have had to hear Let It Go a million times, I understand that you're not going to be first in line for the Frozen train. You know what I mean?
Well, you might be if your kid made you watch it a million times.
Yeah, your kid has probably got you lightning laned up and ready to go for the Frozen ride. But, you know what I mean? Like, for those people who it annoyed, I understand. For me, it was a movie that helped me reconnect with Disney later as a young adult, so I really appreciated it. And Frozen Ever After, I think, is a really, really solid way to give you what you need from the movie, tell its own story, although I will say that story is a little convoluted, what the story of the ride is, but it gives you the hits from the movies, the animatronics are impressive, and it capitalizes on its music really well.
Yes.
So for those things, and it's a dark ride, it's a dark boat ride. I feel like it did take over another, Maelstrom, but, I feel like the classic Disney movie dark rides are their own very specific brand of ride.
Yeah.
I'm talking Peter Pan, Snow White's Scary Adventure, even
Little Mermaid.
Yeah. Like there's just this family of these beautiful, and I think also in the other parks like Alice in Wonderland fits in this category, of this dark Disney dark ride that retells the story of the movie, and I think this is an excellent addition to that lineup as well.
Yeah, and I will say as somebody that's not as obsessed with like Frozen and somebody that really loved Maelstrom, this ride is just really, really technically amazing.
Yeah. It's high quality.
We were blown away when we saw these animatronics, the way they move, the way their faces look. What is that technology?
It's an interior projector.
Was that the first time it was used in Disney World? It's the first time I saw it.
So the way that it works is that their face is a screen, and that it's got a projector inside of their head,
from the inside,
and it projects onto their face. Sorry to ruin the magic for anyone who
I think that anybody listening to our podcast likes that kind of information.
Probably, yeah.
Because we do a lot of deep cut stuff, and I'm sure our listeners are big fans. But so
let us know.
Yeah, you can tell us if I'm wrong. But so and that sounds kind of creepy, but the way that it comes off is so amazing.
I will say it is most effective in that Elsa animatronic during Let It Go. Her face, her facial expressions, and the articulation
Yes.
of her body in that animatronic with the music, which is mixed perfectly for the room that it's in, all of that together, it just is such an emotional
Yes.
couple of seconds of a Disney ride. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Like, it just really, like, packs such a huge punch that it's like it delivers on that feeling that you're designed to get when you watch a Broadway show and they've got their
Right.
big song and they've got
Right.
that big moment. You know, it is capturing the energy of that and translating it into an audio animatronic, and the result is like breathtaking.
And it's so fluid.
Every time I ride this ride with Tori, hi Tori, she is literally crying. Like,
Oh,
she
wow.
is like crying at how beautiful the music and the animatronic and like the feelings of the moment, like, it just, you know,
Yeah.
it like delivers.
Yeah. I even when you first go in, you see Olaf ice skating.
I love that scene.
It is just amazing.
This not only like Olaf is amazing in that, the room is so beautiful with like the hanging purple like crystal vine things.
Well, and just you've never seen an animatronic move like this.
Yeah, it really is like,
I mean, even the queue to that ride is amazing.
the queue to that ride is amazing. They had help because it was already a Norwegian village when it was Maelstrom.
Yeah.
So they just kind of had to retrofit that into Arendelle.
No, they did a lot more than that.
You're right. They really did build a lot of new stuff.
Yeah.
They did. I'm not saying they just slapped a new coat of paint on.
Right.
I'm saying they did the perfect thing. They took the bones of it.
Yes.
And they took the ambiance that was structurally in place already. They built some new additions. They re-themed some things. And they totally made it a new thing.
Right.
You know, it's like watching those flip shows on HGTV or something where they take an
Flip
old
this
house and they make it incredible and modern in a new way. And don't get me wrong, Maelstrom was no flop. Maelstrom was a spectacularly constructed ride.
Right. Especially for back in the day when they were trying to not have any cartoons or whatever in the park. It was a really fun ride.
Culturally authentic. They were that was the angle. That was the hard line.
Yeah.
So now that has changed and
In
they're bringing in the families with
Yes.
these more family centric things. I think the fact that they were able to do it at such a high level of quality, that to me, it made that transition, it made it okay for me in that moment.
Oh yeah, same. When
Everyone was mortified that they were sticking cartoons in the World Showcase.
Yeah.
They were sticking IP, intellectual property. They were infusing that into these like beautifully culturally accurate spaces in Epcot. Everyone was like, you are crossing a line.
Well, and that the ride in Norway that was Maelstrom kind of made learning about Norway fun and interesting, which was the original goal. So to take it out was heartbreaking.
Right.
Because it made so much sense.
Right.
None of the other countries had it that in that way.
No.
There was the Mexico
And there was a ride
but
in Mexico, but it didn't. It
was
didn't
not a fan
inspire
favorite.
you to be passionate about this country you've never been to.
Right.
The way that Maelstrom did. Maelstrom made you feel Norwegian. You know.
Yeah.
In a way that was really authentic because you felt like you were experiencing their culture firsthand.
Yes.
That,
exactly.
Now that you will not get from Frozen. You will not get from any ride.
So it was heartbreaking that they took that out, and I of course wish that we could have both, but I get that because Frozen has a Norwegian background.
Right.
Is it specifically Norwegian, or is it just in the vicinity?
I would say
it's Arendelle.
I would say there are elements from the vicinity, but I would say that Norway is by far the most influential country to the film.
I see how they had to do that.
Right.
You know, but yeah.
Right. There's no way.
But luckily, when I went on it the first time, I was so enraptured by these amazing, just even if you don't like Frozen, these animatronics and the beauty of the location, and like he said, the flowers and the stars and everything, it's so breathtaking that you don't really think about what you've lost. That's got to be the goal.
We're going to look back at that and think, gosh, the Imagineering on this ride.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's one of the ones that really holds up. That's why it's, got a 95-minute wait or whatever every time because not only because Frozen is such a a popular offering. Yeah, Frozen is a popular offering. You know what the meet and greet to meet those girls is? Like 10 minutes sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that everyone is just so obsessed with Frozen that they all need to crowd
such a
around
good
it.
ride, yeah.
It just really is a good ride.
It's really the best dark ride, like newer dark ride. If you're not looking at it from a nostalgic point of view, if you're looking at it from a technical point of view, I think it's, maybe Rise of the Resistance.
Oh, yeah.
If that counts in the same category.
Yeah, I would.
But they would be. I would have to give it to Rise of the Resistance.
I feel like the trackless dark rides, though, are kind of their own.
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
thing.
Well, if you take that out, then I would say yes, it's the best one. Because it's even The Little Mermaid is newer. It's not as good. And I like Little Mermaid more as a movie than I like Frozen because I grew up with Little Mermaid.
I just can't get over the fact that that's not a boat ride and that there's no underwater. Like, they didn't do that extra level of Imagineering that they do.
I think that some of the stuff in The Little Mermaid is very cool. Like, it looks like you're going underwater, and that whole scene, the songs are great. The animatronics everywhere are great. Except for that one Little Mermaid animatronic, which is terrible. It doesn't look like her. Oh, both of them, yeah. Neither of them really look like her. That first one is horrific. I'm like, what did you do?
Not so scary.
But why?
So scary.
I don't know. Well, I guess if it was too soon, but if they had that same technology that they used for the Frozen ride, it could have been way better.
I just want them to do that ride again.
Or at least do those animatronics again.
And you can really, here you go. That ride is at least as new, if not newer, than Frozen Ever After.
No, I don't think so.
Frozen. Oh, how old is The Little Mermaid?
I will look it up. But
The Little Mermaid, the other recent Disney princess dark ride type thing.
And it also existed in Disneyland, so I don't know. I'll find out which came out first.
That ride, like 25-minute wait.
Yes.
Normally. In Magic Kingdom.
I also think it's at a bad location because it's so shoved back there.
It is really back in the back of things. And it also doesn't benefit from the thing that Frozen benefits from, which is that there's so few rides in Epcot.
The Little Mermaid ride opened in 2011.
Oh, and
then
the Frozen one was like 2014.
Was it?
Yeah, so really not that far apart.
Okay. I thought Frozen was a few years after 2014.
So really,
not that far apart. Not far enough apart that it should look like it's 20 years difference, which is what it does.
Yeah,
2016.
Oh, 2016. Oh, you're right.
Opened.
2016, sure. So yeah, you've got 5 years difference. Between the two rides.
Not 20.
Right, not
but
20.
I think the Little Mermaid has the same basic effects as like the Nemo ride, which has been open much longer, or I mean the Winnie the Pooh ride.
The sad truth of that area of Under the Sea is that it feels cheap.
It does. I mean, partially. I really love that a couple of the scenes in there.
Me too.
I mean,
and don't get me wrong, I love the Little Mermaid.
Yeah, I like that. I like
love
the ride.
Little
I'll keep
Mermaid.
going on it. I just think those animatronics are. Really, they need to be redone.
And I'm the one who is actually asking people to go.
It opened in Disneyland also in 2011. Maybe one of these is wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
I am usually the one asking people if they want to go on The Little Mermaid. You know?
Yeah.
I'm not the, I know you will.
Yeah.
But normally it's not like everyone's go-to to want to go on The Little Mermaid.
It was 2012 in Walt Disney World, 2011 in Disneyland.
Okay. So the fact that the wait time is pretty low, actually, I love.
I love that too, right? Because you love Frozen, but we never go on Frozen.
Never. I don't think we've even gone on it one time altogether.
Yeah, we haven't. And it's not because I don't love Frozen. It's because the wait time is so long.
Yeah, that's such a bummer. But for me, for me, it's worth it. All right, that was my number 2. Yeah. Do you have another one?
Oh, let's see. Do you have another one?
I do.
Oh, yeah, my number 1.
Do we have the same number 1? I wonder.
I kind of doubt. I don't know. Maybe. No, we probably do. What is your number 1?
I just went. You go.
Okay. My number 1 is Spaceship Earth lit up. The lights, so Spaceship Earth, the aesthetic of Spaceship Earth at night with all of the lights in their beautiful dancing magical glory. I could just sit there and watch the lights for hours.
Yeah. These are new.
Yes, these are new. They were put in for the 50th anniversary, and I was so worried that they would come down or whatever, like they're taking down all the other icon stuff at the end, but they're not going to take it down, so I get to have it for hopefully ever.
That gives me hope that they're going to keep Cinderella Castle pink.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah.
Sorry,
but these
that's
lights,
a different conversation.
These lights are like Christmas lights for me, except for they're not. They're Epcot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're all year, and they're beautiful.
Yeah.
They just make me so happy.
My number one is Spaceship Earth.
Just in general.
Well, it's Spaceship Earth and the fountain in front and like that
whole aesthetic,
kind of vibe, because I think it's timeless, and I think it is the perfect symbol for Epcot. It's like the gateway to...
Right.
It so matches the idea of futurism. Like, you never even for a second think anymore, why would they pick like a golf ball to be like...
No, it's just...
Doesn't even cross your mind, because it does such a good job of being the perfect beacon of timeless futurism that Epcot is supposed to embody.
Yes.
It nails it. It's perfect.
Right.
You know?
So you're not talking about the ride, though. You're just talking about the aesthetic.
I'm not talking about
the
ride.
That's the same for me.
I do
except for
love that ride, but
my favorite is when the lights are on.
Right. So. I do love that ride.
I love that ride, too. It's very nostalgic.
But it's not... It is not in a good state, in my opinion.
It's not...
I wrote it when it was better. So for it to go down in quality, for me, is not acceptable.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I love it from a nostalgic point of view, but it's not something that I have to go on every time.
It's no
not,
Frozen Ever After.
Yeah, it's not Guardians.
Unfortunately.
For me.
Oh, I feel like if I ever have gotten an angry Disney fan to speak to me before, it would be by saying that Spaceship Earth is no Frozen Ever After. Well, here you go. Spaceship Earth is no Frozen Ever After right now.
Right.
Spaceship Earth is a concept. It's timeless. Spaceship Earth's... animatronics alone, wonderful.
Yeah.
But I cannot ride that ride without thinking about the things that were in it in the previous version that are gone.
Yeah.
Which are, extra effects, there are animatronics, that kind of thing. And also thinking to myself, gosh, the end of this ride sucks.
Yeah, the end of the ride is terrible.
The screens, the darkness, the vague shapes.
Them trying to take your picture and it never working.
It's just such a letdown to be inside of one of the most recognizable symbols in entertainment.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You're the Epcot ride.
Yeah,
you gotta figure that out.
The end of the ride is a complete joke to me.
Yeah.
And they took out a bunch of animatronics and awesome scenes to put in that.
If they actually do this thing that they announced forever ago that they would do, which is, redoing Spaceship Earth, then maybe it'll come back to the list.
Maybe.
But right now, it's not in a good spot.
Yeah. I'm sure the list would change regularly. You know what I mean? Yeah. 2 years ago, my favorite ride was Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah.
But that doesn't hold a candle to Guardians for me.
Right, yeah. And that, that's a different list of our favorite things. But even in Epcot, I feel like the list could change depending on all of these major changes that are about to come.
Oh, yeah. Even without them, I think things would change because, it's just things change.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, there you have it. Those are our favorite things about Epcot. Hey, I love Epcot. I love it very deeply. My fiance and I got engaged there. Yeah. It means a lot to me. And these are just some of our favorite things. I would love to know from everybody, what are your favorite things about Epcot? If you're watching on YouTube right now, I hope that you tell us your favorite things. Why Epcot is your favorite theme park, or even if it's not what your favorite thing about Epcot is.
Right.
I would love to know.
Yeah.
And if you would like to subscribe to and review our podcast, then maybe in your review, just share a little bit about why you love Epcot, because I would love to see that. Tell us our podcast is great if you want, if you believe that. But at the end of that, be like, our podcast is great and Epcot is great, and here's why. I want to know.
You're so funny. Yeah.
That's what Morgan says when she thinks I'm crazy.
The comment would make more sense on the YouTube channel, but it's like, oh, this podcast is great. These people know what they're talking about. Oh, and my favorite thing in Epcot is
I can't wait. Everybody. I want our reviews to be nothing but reviews for Epcot. If you want to visit us online,
Yeah, check us out at neverlandnavigation.co.
that's our home base.
That's our home base. The blog's there, links to all of our social media that Jake does.
Follow us on TikTok at Neverland Navco and on Instagram at Neverland Navco. And our YouTube channel is Neverland Navigation Co. And you can subscribe there to see our adventures from all around Disney World and to see the video version of this podcast. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll see you on our next adventure. Bye.